An apartment overlooking the rooftops of historic Milan, a stone's throw from S. Ambrogio, between Via Lanzone and Via Caminadella, reorganized for the needs of a young family with a passion for design classics. The project developed as a search for a balance between opposing tensions, that of evoking the history and soul of the house and that of building new geometries with contemporary graphic and material accents. The apartment is located on the top floor of a 1950s building, accessible through the atrium and courtyard of Casa Voluntari by the architect Giuseppe Sommaruga. The actual state presented itself as a sequence of environments without a clear hierarchy. The project therefore started from the idea of restoring order to the functional and spatial organization, both through a cleaner layout and through the definition of a new atmosphere also defined by a specific palette of materials and colors. Some contemporary pieces have been selected and added to the collection of some design classics, already owned by the customers. The approach was to delve into the design philosophy of the authors of the iconic objects, seeking a dialogue with each of them to sublimate in the design of an environment that would welcome them but at the same time be their counterpoint, renouncing the idea to build a neutral container where to expose them or, on the contrary, want to compete with them. The original layout included two opposing entrances which made the living room space a passage area. In the new layout it was decided to keep only one, enhancing a space that disengages the living area through two arched openings, reinterpreting the attitude of Caccia de Minioni, who wrote, "I don't like the direct entrance into the living room because it doesn't hold any surprises." The wallpaper in the entrance, a gradient of vertical lines in shades of green and yellow, recalls the boirie of the common spaces of the condominium, reinforcing the character and function of the entrance as a place of mediation between the public and private spheres. From the living room side, the entrance can be read as a volume characterized by a specific color inside which you can glimpse the wallpaper covering that covers it entirely, also wrapping the doors of a retractable wardrobe. Brass details promptly recall the character of the property, typical of that cultured professionalism that marked post-war Milanese architecture. The Cono handle designed by Gio Ponti is a tribute to one of the masters of that tradition. Even the choice of lamp, the Floss IC light wall lamp by Michael Anastasiades, recalls the lighting of Milanese entrances, but with more essential lines and greater domesticity. The living area was designed in a large and fluid way, but with corners dedicated to specific activities: dining, conversation, reading, and listening to music. The client has a small collection of records and opera librettos. An integral part of the new living area is the kitchen, which overlooks the living room through a large custom-made painted steel window. The kitchen is conceived as a fluid extension of the living room in which the actions of life, food preparation, and conviviality take place without solutions of visual continuity, mediated solely by a transparent glass diaphragm which becomes the imaginary canvas on in which to present a geometric composition of arched designs in a graphic approach that dialogues with the patterns and shades of the entrance wallpaper and its geometries. Each component is characterized by a color or pattern that reinforces its volumetric identity: stained oak for the columns, white for the bases, and pale yellow for the wall units. The central island, created like a terrace monolith, is the synthesis element of this palette. The shades of green present among the aggregates reflect the tones of the glass window and the entrance volume, creating subtle references between one environment and another. In the living room, overlooking a long and narrow terrace created in the pitch of the roof, the artificial lighting was also the subject of careful study. The large coves between the walls and ceiling, partly already present, were used as reflective elements for indirect lighting with LED strips placed on the plaster frame that runs along the entire perimeter. The iconic Arco lamp, used according to its original concept, illuminates and furnishes the dining area. Even in the kitchen, the indirect lighting, placed above the furnishings, is flanked by two pendant lamps that draw attention and reflect the geometries of the island and the table. A flush door separates the living room from the more private area, consisting of 2 bedrooms, a study, 2 bathrooms, and a laundry area, and distributed by a central corridor interspersed with an arched opening. The new layout rationalizes and optimizes a state of affairs that was labyrinthine and characterized by multiple hallway spaces. However, the heterogeneity of patterns, materials, and colors has continuous points of reference. For example, the wet rooms of the house all have a recurring terrace pattern, expressed according to different colors, more complex in the kitchen, 3 colored aggregates, and simpler in the bathrooms, yellow or red aggregates. The warm tones of Milan's roofs and the colored plaster that accompany the view of the windows in the living area are introject and brought inside the sleeping area to create a warm and domestic atmosphere. The master bedroom was designed as a pure volume, characterized solely by color, which houses a canopy bed with essential profiles, almost alluding to another space within a space. To leave it as the sole protagonist of the environment, it was decided to hide the clothes inside a walk-in closet whose presence can only be perceived from a pocket door in the wall. The master bathroom is modulated on the same chromatic range but with the recovery of a cold tone in the ceramic on the wall. On the floor a red terracotta terrace, whose shades return in the enamel and in the color of the furniture. On the wall a vertical format in shades of pastel green-gray. Also in this case some black graphic details contrast with the pale color palette. The large mirror, custom-made with integrated light, multiplies the effect of natural light and at the same time visually expands the space. The other bathroom, despite its small size, is conceived as a room within a room. A first area is characterized by a white perimeter with 3 arched openings, a storage niche that is reflected in the arched mirror, also an illusory opening that expands the space, and a third, larger opening that separates from an alcove in which the bathtub is hidden. The latter is characterized by the intimate and enveloping color of yellow. The blue ceiling that overlaps the walls links the 2 areas and encloses the volume. The floor is characterized by a gray-blue ceramic while the walls are covered in yellow terrazzo, with contrasting black elements that graphically underline the geometries. The study in the bedroom, which welcomed a new arrival a few days after the construction site closed, were designed as environments in chromatic harmony with the rest of the house, but with a higher degree of freedom, so as to be able to adapt their use in the time according to the evolving needs of the family and freely arrange the furnishings inside. The story of the house unfolds fluidly between one room and another, guided by different lines of continuity. On the one hand, the curved and soft geometries, developed volumetrically in the openings and graphically in the furnishings. On the other, the alternation of colors and patterns which, if on the one hand return to outline specific functions, bathroom, kitchen, wet areas, on the other hand present a continuous thread that accompanies the discovery of the different environments.